Readers, the best readers, become the character in the book that they're reading. When I read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, poof, I become Willy Wonka, walking down that hallway and stopping at all the doors to see inside those rooms. All right, the best readers visualize, they see everything that they're reading. They're in the book, they become the characters. Now, here is the new book that we're going to begin. It's called The Tiger Rising by Kate DiCamillo. We're going to read chapter 1 right now. I want you to become the character. He's a boy named Rob. This book is about Rob and the people who he knows and the thing that he finds. The Tiger Rising, chapter 1. That morning, after he discovered the tiger, Rob went and stood under the Kentucky Star Motel sign and waited for the school bus just like it was any other day. The Kentucky Star sign was composed of a yellow neon star that rose and fell over a piece of blue neon in the shape of the state of Kentucky. Rob liked the sign. He harbored a dim but abiding notion that it would bring him good luck. Finding the tiger had been luck. He knew that. He had been out in the woods behind the Kentucky Star Motel, way out in the woods, not really looking for anything, just wandering, hoping that maybe he would get lost or get eaten by a bear and not have to go to school ever again. That's when he saw the old Beauchamp gas station building, all boarded up and tumbling down. Next to it, there was a cage. And inside the cage, unbelievably, there was a tiger. A real-life, very large tiger pacing back and forth. He was orange and gold and so bright, it was like staring at the sun itself, angry and trapped in a cage. It was early morning, and it looked like it might rain. It had been raining every day for almost 2 weeks. The sky was gray, and the air was thick and still. Fog was hugging the ground. To Rob, it seemed as if the tiger was some magic trick, rising out of the mist. He was so astounded at his discovery, so amazed, that he stood and stared. But only for a minute. He was afraid to look at the tiger for too long, afraid that the tiger would disappear. He stared, and then he turned and ran back into the woods, toward the Kentucky Star. And the whole way home, while his brain doubted what he had seen, his heart beat out the truth to him. Tiger, tiger, tiger. That was what Rob thought about as he stood beneath the Kentucky Star sign and waited for the bus. The tiger. He did not think about the rash on his legs, the itchy red blisters that snaked their way into his shoes. His father said that it would be less likely to itch if he didn't think about it. And he did not think about his mother. He hadn't thought about her since the morning of the funeral, the morning he couldn't stop crying, the great heaving sobs that made his chest and stomach hurt. His father, watching him, standing beside him, had started to cry too. They were both dressed up in suits that day. His father's suit was too thin, and when he slapped Rob to make him stop crying, he ripped a hole underneath the arm of his jacket. "There ain't no point in crying," his father had said afterward. "Crying ain't got nothing, ain't going to bring her back." It had been 6 months since that day, 6 months since he and his father had moved from Jacksonville to Lister, and Rob had not cried since, not once. The final thing he did not think about that morning was getting onto the bus. He specifically did not think about Norton and Billy Threemonger waiting for him there like chained and starved guard dogs, eager to attack. Rob had a way of not thinking about things. He imagined himself as a suitcase that was too full, like the one that he had packed when they left Jacksonville after the funeral. He made all his feelings go inside the suitcase. He stuffed them in tight and then sat on the suitcase and locked it shut. That was the way he not thought about things. Sometimes it was hard to keep the suitcase shut, but now he had something to put on top of it. The tiger. So as he waited for the bus under the Kentucky Star sign, and as the first drops of rain fell from the sullen sky, Rob imagined the tiger on top of his suitcase, blinking his golden eyes, sitting proud and strong, unaffected by all the not thoughts inside, straining to come out. Right now, I'm going to go back and reread parts of this chapter. And we're going to almost become Rob. We have to see what he sees. We might have to fill in the parts a little bit. We have to think about what we know about motels, what we know about rainy days. We'll have to think about what we know about funerals. Let's give it a try. That morning, after he discovered the tiger, Rob went and stood under the Kentucky Star motel sign and waited for the school bus, just like it was any other day. The Kentucky Star sign was composed of a yellow neon star that rose and fell over a piece of blue neon in the shape of the state of Kentucky. Rob liked the sign. He harbored a dim but abiding notion that it would bring him good luck. I can see Rob standing there looking at the sign. And he kind of likes it. He's like, yeah, smiling at it. And I can see him looking down the street for the bus. Finding the tiger had been luck. He knew that. He had been out in the woods behind the Kentucky Star Motel, way out in the woods, not really looking for anything, just wandering, hoping that maybe he would get lost or get eaten by a bear and not have to go to school ever again. I can picture him walking through the woods. Maybe he's pushing aside a branch of a tree or a shrub. Maybe he's kicking a stone. Maybe he notices some wildlife around, like a bird chirping or perhaps a snake slithering. It was early morning, and it looked like it might rain. It had been raining every day for almost 2 weeks. Picture the gray sky. The sky was gray, and the air was thick and still. Fog was hugging the ground. I can see the ground. I can see like clouds of fog, little tiny tufts of fog all over the ground. And he did not think about his mother. He hadn't thought about her since the morning of the funeral. The morning he couldn't stop crying, the great heaving sobs that made his chest and stomach hurt. His father, watching him, standing beside him, had started to cry too. I remember when my grandmother died. I was very young. She was like my best friend. I was so sad that I didn't even go to the funeral because I thought that if I went, I wouldn't be able to stop crying. And there would be people around just watching me cry, and I didn't want them to see me. So my parents agreed that I could stay home. It would be okay for me to stay there. That's what I think about when I picture Rob heaving his sobs and his cries. Now, there is an assignment on Teams along with this, so check it out. This is Chapter 1, The Tiger Rising. Now, when you read your independent reading books, it could be one from home, it might be the one on Epic. You have to make that movie in your mind as you're reading. You have to picture yourself inside the scenes of the book. That's what the best readers do. And that's how you can enjoy what you're reading even more. Good luck.